If you didn't know, you're about to know. This next story comes from a viewer. Have y'all ever heard of the Martinsville 7? This is one of the most controversial cases in American legal history. A story about fear, race, and a punishment that should have never happened. On January 8th, 1949, in the small town of Martinsville, a 32-year-old white woman reported that she had been raped after accepting a ride home from a group of black men. Within days, police arrested 7 young black men: Booker T. Miller, Frank Hairston, Francis Grayson, Howard Hairston, John Taylor, Joe Hampton, and James Hairston, and they all ranged from ages 18 to 29. Now, their defense attorneys argued that the confessions were obtained under intense pressure and that the men had little understanding of their legal rights. There is no DNA testing, no video recordings, and no forensic evidence like we would have today. The woman identified the men, and the confessions became the centerpiece of the prosecution's case. Now, instead of having one trial, all 7 men were tried separately, and each trial lasted about 1 day. Now, of course, you know the juries were all white because black citizens were effectively excluded from jury services in that area, and every juror found the defendants guilty, and they recommended that the boys get the death penalty. Now, here's the crazy part. Virginia did not require execution for rape, but the 7 men were all sentenced to die in the electric chair. Now, civil rights groups pointed out disturbing patterns. In Virginia, black men convicted of raping a white woman were frequently executed, while white men convicted of rape almost never received the death penalty. The 7 cases quickly became a national controversy. Organizations like the NAACP appealed the convictions. Thousands and thousands of letters asking for mercy poured into the governor's office. These 7 boys even had people overseas protesting their sentences, arguing that they reflected racial discrimination rather than equal justice. And despite of the outcries, all the appeals failed. And on February 2nd, 1951, all 7 men were executed in Virginia's electric chair. They were put to death one after another over a period of several hours. Now, no other case in U.S. history resulted in 7 black men being executed for a single rape accusation in which the victim survived. Now, the central question has never been whether a crime occurred, because the woman consistently maintained that she had been raped by 7 black men. Instead, historians and legal scholars have focused on whether the death sentence was driven by racial discrimination, because dozens of black men in Virginia were getting executed for rape accusations, not even being proven if they did it or not. And white men that were convicted of rape and found guilty never received the death penalty. 70 years later, the case was revisited, and in 2021, Ralph Northam granted pardons for the Martinsville 7. Come on, man. 70 years later, the pardons didn't even declare the men innocent of the crime.